Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is February 13th, 2019, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the major economic events of the day, just two events coming out. Firstly, at 11:30 South African time, out of United Kingdom, yearly CPI number coming out. That's an important number because it's an inflationary number and should affect the markets, despite the fact that there's this looming Brexit issue happening and still happening, and just the drama continues. So it's an important number coming out at 11:30 for the GBP. And then later today, 3:30 South African time, monthly CPI number coming out of the United States. It's registered as a major economic event. If there are any surprises, you do want to know about it. But taking a look at the markets, big rotation in the markets. Euro finally rallies from the brink of breaking down on that lower range that we spoke yesterday. Now looking at the Dow Jones, big rally yesterday, above 25,500 this morning. NASDAQ is above 7,000. What's a little bit funny here is that the stocks are not going ahead with this, the major stocks. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Now looking at the commodities, gold is basically drifting on lower volume. Okay, doesn't mean that it's selling off necessarily, 1312, but it is drifting. Oil bounces on the better economic events of the rally. You could ascribe it to the fact that Congress and the president have come to some sort of a understanding about building the wall on the southern border with Mexico. And so market is a little bit optimistic about it, but I think that's really irrelevant. I think it's more, the economic environment and what's going to really unfold with China. And lastly, looking at the cryptocurrencies, Ethereum pushes higher after a big bounce. We'll take a look at that as well, but let's see what we can expect from today's trading. So we dipped below 13, that was right here, and we dipped to 1262, a low of 1262 yesterday on the Euro USD, and finally we just capitulated and rallied that back. Okay, so this is still, and I kind of mentioned this yesterday and the day before, that this was something to actually look at, as it may actually break it. And sure enough, it did break it lower. Now it is at resistance 1332-ish level, if you call that. And then, I'd like to see it above this 1332. That's really an important number. Around this area is a very important number to be around. So for this to close this area is quite significant. But, it's not the only currency that actually rallied versus the dollar. The GBP as well finally had a little bit of a bounce. We're at that 30-day moving average, and it looks like a V formation. Okay, it looks like a longer V formation, but it looks like, basically a hilltop or a mountaintop. Okay, since our rally down here, and now we're making that correction on the downside. Okay, so you're questioning what's going on here. Okay, we had this rally. It looked like it was going to sustain itself. Looks like it was going to correct itself to 134. Finally capitulated up here, and then, took it further down. Now, this is all because of Brexit. I think nobody really knows what's going to unfold with Brexit, and I think that the markets are just trying to ease in and ease out, but nothing really concrete to let us know which way Brexit's going to happen. So this is still looming, almost 3 years since this has happened. So this is really very significant. Now looking at gold, as you can see, we're really just drifting here. Okay, we'll look at a 30-minute chart here. You can see that, we've been at this 1313, 1309, 1308. We haven't really broken. Okay, hit a low of 1304, which was significant because that's our lower range. Okay, if you see that, but really drifting sideways, but not selling off, which is really important to note because the Dow Jones has rebounded since its low of 21,500 on December 27th of 2018. So this is, the fact that it's not selling off kind of gives you the feeling that, the markets are still, quite wary about the future. Okay, so that's in terms of gold. Now looking at oil, we bounced a little bit yesterday. Now this is on economic optimism right here, $20 to $53 a barrel. And like I said, I think we'll be trading within this range for quite some time, between 55-ish and 53-ish, 52-ish level, okay, but nothing really colossal, nothing to really write home about, no surprises there. Now looking at that Dow Jones, look at that move, okay, look at that rally. Okay, now this was a rally to happen. Okay, this capitulated down at 24,800-ish level last week, previous Thursday, and then just took it up even higher. Okay, so we're at 25,522 right now. So we've broken the barrier on the upside on many levels. As you can see here, this was that low that I was talking about on December 27th, excuse me. And then, this rallied to 25,500. Now, really what's going to happen here is we're looking for some sort of confirmation from China, and I think they'll give it. I don't think that the markets want to rattle it too much. I think everybody's playing defensively right now and not playing so offensively as it seems. And as a result, I think we're going to hit the 26,000 and maybe retrace from there. But this is a massive, massive year for the indices. I mean, selling off from 26,255 down to 21,500, and then rallying back to 25,500. It's insane. It really is insane. This is a tremendous amount of money. And you just got to keep an eye on the indices, okay? As I mentioned, the stocks are not going through. If I mentioned before on the highlights of the day, NASDAQ also hit a high above 7,000. That's really important because the NASDAQ is really what represents the high-tech companies in the United States. All the internet companies and the biotech companies are listed on the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ is really a very important indicator as to the direction of the markets as we go forward. The New York Stock Exchange, the Dow Jones, represents some of the older companies, Boeing, some of the major banks, some of the major conglomerates, so oil companies. So it's a real gamut of how the markets are doing in terms of old school or businesses that are quite established in the United States. But the NASDAQ is really what represents the type of companies that are moving forward, the Teslas, the Microsofts, the Apples, the Netflix, these types of Amazons. So it's important to note that this is trading above 7,000. What's really concerning is that if we look at Apple, not pushing higher, 1,700. Looking at Facebook, also 164, not going higher, even going lower. Amazon to 1635. So either this has already been played out, okay, or either we could expect some weakness from these, okay? It doesn't mean that the market is weak. It just means that these particular stocks are weak. Now, lastly, looking at crypto, Ethereum had a beautiful just spike last week from $99 Ethereum for the dollar, right, to 119, and then retraced back and then kind of consolidated at this 114, and it's now pushing up higher right now, 119. If it pushes above this 120 level, we could see it further incline to 136-ish level. Okay, that's for sure. All right, but something is going on over there and pushing this thing higher. We'd like to see consistency with this thing, and just keep in mind this is still a very, very light volume cryptocurrency. So with that in mind, if it does, turn the other way, just be very careful because these are inclined to do it because there's not enough volume in it. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.